Hey there folks, Chumpesk here, bringing another audio commentary, and today we have a game recently played in the Star Wars 6 as a show match between Sky and Moon, so very exciting, two of pretty much the two most famous players of all time, certainly in Asia. I think these are the two biggest players, and obviously there's Grubby as well, but two of the most accomplished players as well, both of them. Actually, yeah, Sky's actually been having a bit of a comeback recently. Moon obviously playing a lot more StarCraft 2 at the moment, so hasn't been we haven't seen too much from him in terms of Warcraft 3. But certainly he can always put on a show, and this is going to be on Echo Wilds, which is a map that Moon actually really likes to play Elf versus Human on, because he has that nice he has a nice sort of play style here where he can take an expansion and then the Human can't take a third base or anything like that. So it's be interesting to see how Sky wants to play it out. Also, bear in mind Moon has a lot of first hero options here. Obviously, basically half of the altar Moon can use, and then Warden, Demon Hunter. There's a bunch of different things he can use. Sky, meanwhile, sending this early on Militia down, gets off a couple hits on this Moon while he's still in Militia form, and then he's just gonna build this farm. Just gonna give him some good scouting, and you can see that there's not enough room to put any sort of Ancient of War or Ancient of Wonders here to kill this farm while still being rooted, so it will require Moon to uproot a building to kill it, or he can leave it for a long time, and then eventually his hero won't have anything to do. But we do have a Warden coming out now for Moon, and a Mountain King coming out for Sky. This is very much the new style that players like TH have been sort of developing recently, where you go for this really strong hero combination. We'll have to see how he wants to play it out. There's a Mountain King, and then you can either go for Archmage second, then Paladin, or Mountain King, then Paladin. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different options, and then obviously all the Blood Mage permeations we've seen as well recently. And we do have Sky sending his first footman around. Going to try and maybe do a bit of harassment here, or scouting, just maybe find out what Moon's going to be doing. You know, Moon is doing this creeping here. We can see he has his trademark wisps here. He'll bring them down here so he can hire some creeps, and at the same time he can maybe even, yes, there he goes, he attracts a lightning shield onto his archer so he can do maximum damage to these creeps. And meanwhile his Warden has just now popped out, but we can see this camp is about half done already. And actually Moon not hiring any mercs yet. Shadow Priest is always, or is usually pretty good. Actually against the Mountain King it's much less good, obviously, so maybe Moon won't bother to hire it, though I'm not sure. He scouted it? No, he does have a wisp here, he will have scouted it out. And we do not have Sky going for this very quick expansion, as is the style at the moment, just getting this expansion up so quickly, and you can do that pretty safely these days. And you can humans are just so good, especially on this map, at massing barrack units, particularly footmen, just to compensate. And then obviously they can hire so many mercs as well. Moon killing that first footman, that's not too big a problem there for Sky, because it did force Moon to waste a lot of mana. We can see Moon already just at 50 mana, really running low already, and doesn't really want to be using his Moon Loss on that. Actually he only has 2 at the moment. He's still building with, he'll probably start his tier 2 tech, and then immediately pop down a couple more, and Moon now going for this quick expansion, as I say. And Sky looks like he's actually a bit short on lumber, so he's gonna give something for his peasants to do while he waits to have enough lumber to put up his town hall. And we do not have this Mountain King almost level 2, gonna come in. Level 2 not too important for the Mountain King, so it's not like Sky really needs to wait for that. He'd much rather try and catch Moon and Creepjack. If he could actually hire the Berserker, he could probably take down this Tree of Life before it finishes. That'd be a great economic boon there for Sky, but I think it's just too tricky there. Moon's just too close to all the action, and it's going to be able to chase Sky away. Might even get this footman kill. He does have enough mana on this Warden there. There he gets one Shadow Strike off, and that will be enough to get the kill with a couple more hits from that Warden. And we do have the boots presumably being bought. Actually, the TP being sold here, so Sky really desperate for that gold, especially considering, it's weird considering he's going through this town hall really quickly, and Moon with this one wisp always on top of things. Classic Moon, just having wisps everywhere. He needs to have them just so he always knows what's going on. And this Mountain King, still level 1, decides not to bolt this Warden because he's never going to be able to get the kill or anything. He doesn't have any units nearby, and he needs to preserve his mana for those clutch moments, especially when this camp's being crept out. That's always a nice camp to get a creepjack on, because there's always the ensnare from the trappers, which is always going to cause a few problems for Moon. Especially when he doesn't have too many units. And Moon not just, actually look at this, going for Hunter Soul before he actually starts his tier 2 tech, so really aggressive play here by Moon. We might see a style that we've seen occasionally from him, where he just builds a huge number of Huntresses and then pushes, and really usually the expansion, because that's a bit less defended. You can't call militia there and stuff, but Sky actually hiring these mercs might actually cause problems here for Moon. And we can see that this Tree of Life isn't actually going to go down. If Sky had managed to get to it earlier and got Berserker instead of the Shadow Priest, he might have been able to, but looks like Moon actually hired the Berserker there from his side, and Moon now with that level 3 going to be more than capable of taking this out. And looks like this Wisp might even survive. Actually goes for a bit of a block there, but eventually just gives it up, and Moon will now be able to walk this Tree of Life over, start his mining. But Sky a bit ahead, but spent a lot more on the power building of that. So they're both coming off pretty even now. And Moon, I'm amazed he hasn't started his tier 2 tech. I'm certain that, yeah, Sky hasn't started his yet either. Just it's so tricky to actually get away with that. And looks like we do actually have staff being used there to get, I'm not sure where he actually staffed to. Oh, he staffed back here. Interesting choice here by Sky, going straight for those creeps, and considering his mount getting so low, he will need to be careful, because if the Warden were to come back in now, could really do a lot of damage, especially considering that only one, or there's 2 Shadow Priests, but only one can heal at a time. And okay, a nice item though, the Pendant of Energy, that's going to be super useful there for Sky. Already almost 400 maximum mana for that Mount King. Really tricky now for Moon to do too much more harassment without risking being surrounded or being forced to use Blink, and obviously level 1 Blink, hugely mana intensive and huge cooldown as well. Moon's still not doing any teching though. Really probably going to go very aggressive with these Huntresses though. I think he does only have 1 H in the War though, so he can't be too aggressive there. He might just try and scare Sky into building a couple more towers than he needs to. Obviously only 1 at the moment, with the second scout tower can be upgraded, but it will take a bit too long. So we'll have to see how Moon wants to play out, but I imagine he'll want to be going for some sort of attack. You know, Sky now getting that level 3 very quickly there. That's so useful, because that level 2 bolt is actually very nice. And this Entangled Gold Mine just now starting. Actually, Moon was a bit slow on actually getting that started, but it's not going to cause too big a problem here. And we will be having Sky doing some more creeping here, even using his footman to pull out the creeps in advance so he can get them all done a bit quicker, which is so important when you have things like the Warden around, because it's so frequent that the Warden will come at the last second and just be able to steal your creep. So if you start creeping a couple seconds earlier, then you're going to be fine some of the time at least, and it's worth the cost of bringing that footman out a bit earlier, not having it in the previous battle. And Moon now actually using a clarity potion, so really wants to regain some mana, and maybe gonna try and buy an invuln pot here. A bit early to buy a heal scroll. Still no tier 2 tech though here by Moon. This is so aggressive here by him, and I'm not sure what Moon's plan is. Does actually have that one lightning shield, which is going to be actually pretty useful against this large number of low hit point units here by Sky. And Sky now going to start moving down. Did actually pick up an invuln pot, which is going to be so useful against that Shadow Strike. But we'll have to see actually how Moon wants to play it out. I'm not sure what he's doing with this Warden, what his plan is, because it's now daytime and this Mountain King's coming down here, and looks like, yeah, Moon did actually buy the invuln pot. Actually went for the scroll healing as well. Maybe he's trying to deny it from Sky, because really this with only 1 shop here, it can be pretty tentative. And oh, look at that, we do have the Fan of Knives being used as a second skill, so no blink here for Moon. Really needs to be careful then about being surrounded, but it looks like the Fan of Knives did a huge amount of damage. Going to be able to take down at least a couple more footmen there, and this Mountain King just being left to try and clean up a couple units at the back here from Moon, but not going to be too successful in this. And looks like actually both of these footmen might go down here. Sky trying to block. Yes, he is pathing blocking. Oh, he doesn't manage it quite, and Moon going to be able to get both the kills now, because he does have that boots on his Warden. Very nice, as Moon gets actually pretty close to level 5 now, and starting now his tier 2 tech, but we can see Sky is actually ahead of him in tech, which is so unusual, but it's actually a really interesting play. I haven't seen too much of it. I think we saw one game of TH doing this sort of build on Twisted Meadows, which I casted, but because obviously the human waits a long time to tech, because they spend a lot on, or they have to spend a long time just getting all those footmen and then getting all the lumber peasants that they need. It does allow you a bit of time where you know they can attack, so you may as well not attack either and spend your money on things like Huntresses so you can punish them a bit. And it looks like we do have this Mountain King coming down, but oh, he doesn't actually manage to cancel the Clarity Potion. I guess he doesn't know how long it's been going for. Actually, no, he does finally go for it there, and that's an interesting choice there to avoid it a second. Maybe Sky just wasn't on top of things, but Moon did pick up this Mud Golem as well, so he did have the possibility of slowing this Mountain King, but it was unlikely he's going to get the kill, considering this the invuln pot and the staff teleportation. I wonder when we're going to be seeing a TP being rebought here. Ooh, Moon actually getting 100s from the back here, and they're going to be able to get 1 peasant kill here probably, and actually the peasant could maybe try and run away into these creeps and try and pull the creeps onto it, but it looks like a Sky going to be able to chase away now Moon, and one of these hunters is being blocked a bit, and we do have a clarity potion being used, which should be cancelled. Yes, Moon does cancel it immediately. This 100 might go down. Still no staff obviously for Moon, so we can't save it, but it looks like Moon's Warden comes in at the right time to form a wall with these hunters just to save this low huntress at the back, and this one Mud Golem will go down, and Moon probably is going to have to turn around right now, because really doesn't want to be attacking to all these towers, especially with an arcane tower going up as well. Mana is just so important on this Warden, and the Warden still has a lot of mana, actually getting level 5 there, and now it looks like he's pulling these creeps out, probably accidentally when he got that peasant kill, and yeah, he is going to run away. Level 5 though, very nice. Now it'll be interesting to see what his choice is. Moon actually leaving his Mud Golem at home, interesting, to take out this farm. It's going to take a long time, and the Mud Golem is really good up front, but bear in mind that it is pretty slow and you don't want it lagging behind, especially if you're running cross map. It can take a long time. Moon actually retrading now, getting Blink, definitely, probably Shadow Strike as well, in anticipation of ooh, look at this, we're actually seeing a Griffin Aviary going up, 2 Griffin Aviaries going up. So we're going to see this quick tier 3 tech, Blood Mage second, and we'll have to see maybe Paladin third. Really, that's the super standard thing we've been seeing recently from players like TH. And Moon now has this mine up and running, building lots of Moon walls here so he can defend easily this base, and getting up an Ancient of Wind as well. Very, very nice to get those Ancient of Winds up early, because you do need an overwhelming number of hippogriffs if you want to be able to beat the dragonhawks in a fight, because otherwise the dragonhawks can just shackle you, and unless you have a Dark Ranger, you're really in a lot of trouble. And I imagine Moon will go for a Panda second, although Dark Ranger actually could be in the cards at least. And this Ancient Wind is eventually cancelled here, but Sky, oh, nice detonate there by Moon, gets that off just in time, and actually gets slow there off on the Mount King as well. Very, very solid play here by Moon, and he is going to actually use his invisibility potion to try and scout out what's going on. Maybe he'll try and sneak into the space now that peasant's gone. Yes, he does. He scouts out what's going on. I'm not sure how much damage he's going to be able to do here. He's going to try and do a lot of damage, and it's a shame it's not nighttime, because you could just use Phantom Knives and then hide with Phantom Knives, and then and then take out most of his peasants. But instead he's been forced to use an invuln pot. Does actually get a lot of kills there, and eventually just blinks away. So actually not a bad harassment there. Did more damage than it cost him just to get that invuln pot, and then also obviously all the mana is pretty expensive as well, but he did a lot of damage and really good slow down Sky, considering he's going for really lumber intensive air units. And really at this point Moon needs to buy some time while he's putting up his Ancient Winds again, and going for tier 3 as well. Still no second hero here for Moon though, so ooh, is he going to do some shopping in the marketplace actually, or is he just going to try and ambush that Mount King? Mount King does eventually TP away, and we do have a Panda now being picked up finally here for Moon. And this Blood Mage, I'm not sure what's actually happened to him. He's just here. He's been doing some creeping, already level 2, but really the Mana Siphon and Banish are both very, very important skills here. Obviously the Bolt and the Mana Siphon is actually very, very nice, and they're actually, we see an example of it right now, and Moon losing a lot of mana there, and is eventually forced to run away, but has already lost time. Well, I'm not sure how much he started with, but he lost a lot of mana there, and really he's going to be able to give a lot of mana now to that Mount King, who has a high maximum mana, bear in mind 450 maximum mana already. So really Moon does need to be very, very careful as he blinks his Warden away, and yeah, we can see he does actually have level 3 blink there, so he is going to be able to be very, very mobile, which on a small map like this can just mean that you can traverse the entire map in almost no time at all. Moon picking up 3 scrolls of healing now, Jesus Christ, going to be very, very useful against dragonhawks actually, and that is what we're seeing from Sky at the moment. 1-0 upgrade, no animal war trading yet, and his castle is done, but actually going for a knight before the animal war trading. Interesting choice there. Maybe hoping to catch Moon off guard by having only air-to-air units, and then having a couple knights could cause problems, but Moon now going to come in. Oh, he does manage to steal the item. He gets the parry after vitality, and now he's going to be able to get out of here, and Sky appears to have not noticed, or at least to be able to, or is unable to do anything about it, because he can't do any revealing with his arcane towers, because he doesn't have any arcane sanctums up. No, he does not. And finally, animal war training now being gotten here for Sky, and Moon now almost level 3 on his Panda, picking up a Talisman of Evasion as well as does have a couple hippogriffs as well as a couple Dryades, but Dryades, they're useful in small numbers against these Dragonhawk riders, but after a point you do start to need some hippogriffs, and then you do need to worry about those shackles, which is why that Dark Ranger third is a pretty good hero choice, assuming that Sky doesn't then go for Paladin, because then you can do Banish, Bolt, Holy Light, and that Dark Ranger goes down very, very quickly with a bit of focus from the mass air units as well. So it will be interesting to see if that's what Moon wants to go for. Certainly that's the thing that I'd expect him to do, but as to whether or not that's what he does, certainly those things frequently don't line up when we're talking about Moon, and Moon now going to lose 1 Ancient of War. Certainly not a big loss here for him, but it's going to mean that Sky is now able to get to the Tree of Life, and this is going to have to be something that Moon reacts to. And is he going to TP in? Oh, actually look at this, making a bunch of fake hippogriffs here. That might be quite hard to see, but it's going to be annoying for Sky, who's just going to see a huge number of them here, and when he goes for those shackles, we'll have to see if he gets fake ones. No, he actually gets really lucky and gets all real ones, but eventually it's cancelled, and looks like the haze fire goes off as well. Very, very nice play here by Moon, managing to chase away all these areas from Sky. Obviously being haze is going to really slow them down as well. Blink being forced there on this Warden, but bear in mind it's level 3 Blink, so it's not a huge deal. One staff goes off there to save that knight as well, and it looks like Moon will be able to clear this up, and Sky will be forced to TP home. Sky still only level 2 on this Blood Mage, and is going to take a lot of damage but not die with his Mount King there. So very, very nice play there by Sky, actually managed to do a lot of damage, and force Moon to TP in, and obviously it's trade in TPs, but considering that Scotty knew he was going to have to TP out, forcing Moon to TP in is really as good as you can hope for. And it looks like we're going to be having a third hero picked up now. Bear in mind, Moon does actually have a couple bears in the fight as well, which could be very, very useful for the rejuvenations out of battle as well. And we do have the Dark Ranger being picked up third. Obviously, as I say, that silence just so useful against all the dragonhawk riders when they try and use shackles. And it looks like we do have a blink going off, and nice fan of knives as well, and so much damage being done by this warden with the orb as well, hitting all the units once. You can see how many of them have been poisoned, and going to take slow damage now. Very, very strong play here by Moon, and Moon now could actually finally take out this farm. He did eventually take out this one in his base as well. He should really move out the shop a bit as well though. But Sky now at 80 food compared to Moon 72, so pretty even in this regard, considering that Sky does not have a third hero, or has he picked one up finally? No, it looks like he hasn't quite yet. So he will need to get his presumably a paladin third fairly soon, because that paladin's so important in this situation. And we do, narrowly misses the haze there with his panda, and we'll now be trying to chase down these dragonhawks with his hippogryphs. But he does need to make sure that he doesn't engage whereas our Dark Ranger can't reach at all. Another nice detonate there actually by Moon, really being on top of these things, and one Dragonhawk rider actually getting a bit lost there in the middle, and looks like they were just rallied to the bulk. And actually this Tree of Life now taking a lot of damage, and Moon now out of position. Actually, will he lose his Tree of Life here? He's going to repair it, and looks like he will be able to chase things away, because this Warden, such a threat. Might be nice to buy a second orb actually for his panda as well. Just could cause a lot of trouble for Sky if he's just taking a huge amount of damage, although obviously if you're going to have it on one hero, you want it to be on the Warden. And as soon as Sky starts focusing those wisps, Moon immediately puts them back in the Moon Wall. Does need into the gold mine. Does need to get the repair off at some point though on the Tree of Life. A couple nice shackles goes off here. The Warden actually gets into a good position here to get off a good silence, and looks like not going to happen though. Sky 2 on top of things, just trying to get in as annoying a position as possible here, and does manage to get off a lot of shackles, but it looks like maybe Moon's going to be able to fight through it. Yes, it looks like he will be able to, because of that nice silence at the end there, and we can see how many of these Dragonhawk riders have actually been shackled, or have been silenced, and so we're now unable to shackle. And the Warden now getting out in front as well. Very, very nice. Will he get off Phantom Knives? Yes, she does. And it looks like now another blink going forward, and Moon just really on the aggressive here, gonna try and chase down this huge army, which can be so intimidating if you don't constantly do damage to it like Moon is doing here. Very, very solid play, and looks like actually Sky gonna take a couple more hits as well before finally getting out of here. Still no Paladin out though. I'm really surprised by this. I think it would be very, very nice to get this out at this point, especially considering how much damage he's been taking on a lot of units, and the staff is just too slow to be a reliable healing method. Having to use all these arcane scrolls as well is just again pretty slow, and that means you can't engage for a long time when you need to be doing some harassment at the very least. And Moon actually probably should be Moon doesn't even have Nature's Blessing. The extra armor would be very, very useful for him. It'd be nice if he repaired this as well, as I say, just because obviously that attack can come in at any time, and if Moon's unprepared, then he's going to have to use a lot of wisps to repair, and those wisps will eventually go down. But obviously by that point, obviously Moon probably will be able to get there. So maybe he's just taking a bit of a risk, actually finally starting to repair it now. But the Dark Ranger in perfect position to go for that silence as soon as need be. But it looks like, just out of range, might be better off in sort of a position here, as a couple of these hippogriffs might just go down 1-1 upgrades compared to 3-1 upgrades here for Sky. So Sky really with a great upgrade advantage here, and going to be able to do a lot of damage to these a couple hippogriffs. Maybe this is the comeback that Sky's been needing, although he needs to be very, very careful. I don't think he's within, or he's out of the range of the Dark Ranger, so does need to be wary to say the least. Looks like he's managed to do a lot of damage. So Moon using a healing scroll, and finally some of these Dragonhawk riders starting to go down as the shackles wear off, and the Dark Ranger even getting off a couple hits of her own here. And it looks like these units will finally be cleaned up by Moon, but after a much more successful attack. But a nice blink here by this Warden, who's almost level 6 now, and the Phantom Knives takes out a couple of the Dragonhawk riders. The rest of them are on the run here, and Moon might even be able to get off another one. He does use a Clarity Potion now as well, which Sky doesn't cancel, and another Phantom Knives goes off, and Moon has enough mana for another Phantom Knives if he wants to, but no, it looks like he's not going to go for that. And Sky turns around briefly. I think he wants to cancel this Clarity Potion, but Moon just baited him in, gets that level 6 now as well, and looks like Sky going to go on the offensive here with his Blood Mage, and with his Knights. It looks like he's actually taking down the Agent of Winds that were there, and the Warden now uses this his Staffed Home actually, I think, to get back, and is now being mana siphoned as well, just to try and slow things down. But obviously the Moon Walls around will be very, very useful to Moon, who's now paddling, blocking this Blood Mage a bit. Blood Mage does have the greater invuln pot if need be, but it's actually staffed home, and this Mountain King now does need to run home. Obviously can't be permanently stunned or anything, but will need to be very, very wary of any sort of blink play, and then obviously there's so many ways to slow him down here with the Shadow Strike and the Dryads and everything. He does need to be careful of being stopped in one way or the other, and taken down quickly, because that can very much happen with the Warden especially. And we do now have the Sky just going, just constantly healing up his units and trying to be really cost efficient, but unfortunately he just lost so many air units that Moon's just being constantly on top of him in every sense, just really staying on top of his own base, really, just so he can keep Sky from doing any harassment. And obviously dragonhawk riders not very good at creeping, and it's really Sky that needs to get the experience if he's not going to be able to do any damage, because otherwise he's just going to be a bit behind with the Dark Ranger being so useful, even at a low level. And actually, Moon buying sentry wards, and a pendant of energy. This is just, Moon loves to buy items at that marketplace, which is something that very few other people do. Occasionally Orc will go off and buy a clause of attack early on or something, but it's just there's such sort of an unknown factor with the marketplace that you never really have a good sense of knowing when this happens I should do this. So you really just have to know the game inside and out, and being able to do this just is so useful, because you can put down these sentry wards. I wonder if actually it'd be better placed somewhere along the edges so he can scout when the air units come in, but maybe Moon's now thinking this could be a bit of more of a ground army that he has to worry about. Finally a paladin being built here by Sky, but is it too little too late at this point? This army composition we've seen has been basically unbeatable. When we've seen TH use against Moon, he's just basically had, nice dust there, amazing dust, and Moon just manages to get away though. Very nice intuition there by Sky, and he will be able to chase away that Warden, who now does need to get to the rest of his army. But we have seen TH, as I say, use this tri-hero combination to basically fight off hordes of Moon's army before, but just been absolutely unable to do the same damage here for Sky, just because it's been really nice play here by Moon. And actually with this roar as well, these hippogriffs just do so much damage. Finally staff going off here, and Moon might be forcing a TP right now. I think, yeah, Sky does have a TP. I think he might be best to use it right now. Gonna try and do a bit of damage here to this Warden, but I don't think he's gonna be able to take it out. Hazefire goes off as well, very nice play there. And we do now have this Paladin actually being caught right at the back, does have a staff, and I think all his heroes have a staff, but this Paladin now probably should try and staff this Knight home, and does not. And the silence now goes, the silence actually blocked that Holy Light from going off, I think, and Moon finally does manage to get the Paladin kill there. And unfortunately, I think all the staffs have been used already. Yeah, we can see 2 units had been staffed home, so I think Sky's staffs were on cooldown and couldn't let his Paladin do its work. So very nice play here by Moon. Is actually 3 upgrades though here on the Dragonhawk Riders, just so scary. And meanwhile Sky trying to do a bit more harassment, but Moon just 2 on top of things now. Does have Nature's Blessing as well, which is going to make him so much more durable, and just going to be able to really chase these units away. And Moon might now even try and look for a fight. At this point he does still have only 1-1, and still no upgrades on the way actually, so that's a bit surprising. It feels like Moon's being a bit lackluster there, but he does have Moon Wall upgrade, so he does have 425 maximum mana on those Moon Walls, which is very useful when you have this tri-hero combination, and you're likely to be taking a lot of damage and or taking damage frequently, and doing hit and runs and things like that, just because that huge amount of healing is so important. And these Dragonhawk Riders, it's unclear really as to whether they're doing harassment or whether they're trapped. It looks like they're trying to do a bit of damage, but they do keep on having to pull back as well. And at this point really I think Moon could try and go for some sort of push. He does have a huge amount of units here. If he could try and engage either the air army here or the ground army separately, he'd definitely win, but it's more that Sky's just too good at delaying. But maybe Moon found an in here. He's managed to catch a bunch of these Dragonhawk Riders off guard, but Sky comes in and gets a huge number of shackles off here. Finally Moon getting a couple kills, but looks like Sky doing a huge amount of damage here. Looks like all of Moon's heroes are unable to engage, so it looks like we will be having a lot of these units down to very low health or taken out. But it looks like Sky is just slightly too few Dragonhawk Riders with him, and so even though he does have those 3 upgrades, he will maybe be forced back. And yes, it looks like he is going to be forced to fly back, but Moon actually microing back all his low hippogriffs as well. That's very nice play there by him. And we do now have all of these units on the run, and Moon eventually going to turn around because he doesn't want to get too overzealous, especially when he's pulling back hippogriffs, because then the shackles can just come off and hit all the units. And Sky now coming in as well, but his army has been taking a lot of damage. I'm not sure if he's just trying to do a harassment here or what his plan is, but it looks like a bulk was off to take down one of those hippogriffs, which is low health, and obviously at level 3 bolt does so much damage. That's a really good way to be very, very cost efficient, is if you just keep on doing that and then hitting and running, and then finally Moon will be mined out, and Sky will probably be mined out too, but he'll have some money in the bank or something like that. But as we stand, it looks like we do have 74 food for Sky compared to 69 for Moon, so it's pretty close still, considering that Moon has pretty good hero levels, whereas Sky hasn't really been able to creep too much, because as I say, doing these creeping with dragonhawk fighters, even with a 3-3, is pretty slow compared to the damage you could be doing. So 5-4-1 here for Sky. It's alright hero levels, I suppose, compared to 6-4-3, clearly a bit inadequate. It looks like we're going to have Sky relying on his units as opposed to his heroes, and Moon's heroes aren't the best heroes to be having really high level either. I mean, Dark Ranger, it's okay at level 3, but at level 1 it's almost as good, just the silence is a bit larger area of effect. And apart from that, I mean, Black Arrow, it's an alright skill, but really against this army it's completely useless, because obviously against air units it's not useful, and against heroes it's not useful, so really only the Knight is actually going to be useful against, so Moon might even better not to use his mana on Dark Arrow at all, and instead just try and go for more silences. And actually we do have a bolt and a mana siphon going off, but no banish here on this warden, so eventually this warden is going to be able to get back into the battle, and finally does now, and looks like quickly getting a lot of shackles off here, and almost all of Moon's units getting caught there, but finally the silence goes off, and we can see all those dragonhawk fighters now going to be taken out, because as soon as a couple of these hippogriffs get free, they can just do so much damage, and it looks like Moon maybe going to be able to win this fight just about, but now the heroes come back in as well, and this could be very, very bad here for Sky, who's Paladin still in level 1, no Divine Shield, so will be forced to use Scroll of Healing and stuff like that, which really he doesn't want to be using at this stage, and it looks like a bolt goes off on this Panda, but it's not going to be quite enough here for Sky, who's now could lose his Paladin there again by looks of things. Does manage to save his Blood Mage though, and does still have the greater potion of invulnerability, which is surprising to say the least, considering we're this far. And Mount King now finally going to get a bolt off after having been silenced, and now maybe the Paladin might actually manage to survive, but actually now the Mount King in a bit of trouble, probably can be staffed home, but the Warden, or the Blood Mage, very, very low on health still, does actually use his healing scroll finally, but this Mount King does have the TP actually just as staffed home, and looks like we do now have this Blood Mage now with 33 health, being forced to finally use that invul pot, but Moon just going to be able to brute force through things, and GG smiley face, well played by Sky. Very, very nicely played here by Moon, showing he really still does have it, despite the fact that he's spending more of his time certainly playing StarCraft 2. So a really fantastic play here by Moon, and I hope you enjoyed that game, and I'll bring you some more games very, very soon, as soon as Moon finishes destroying that base. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that, folks. See you soon.